How about now? 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 Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Stop. Yes. I will mute you.
She won't.
I will.
Because she'll forget to unmute me.
No,
They'll have to redo the
No.
podcast.
No.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. Redeemed once again. We're going to finish up the story about Samson. On our last podcast, we talked about how he let his passions and his lust basically ruin his life.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, ruin his life. And so now we have Samson, who has been taken into captivity. His eyes have been gouged out, and he's grinding flour.
Just said grinding
Grain.
Grain. Okay, so he's grinding grain.
He's making flour. Good work, Samson.
But even at his low point, God still hasn't forgot Samson. You know, let's make sure that we understand that God does require obedience.
Uh-huh.
All right, and Samson did a pretty poor job in the obedience area when it came to following what the Lord wanted him to do.
Correct.
Which is why he's in this particular position. If he had done what the Lord wanted him to do, obeyed, he probably wouldn't be sitting there with eyes gouged out.
Bet you're wondering how we got here.
Yeah. So this is how we got here.
Uh-huh.
But even though Samson's there, his hair is beginning to grow back, and his strength is returning. So even though he's made several big mistakes, the Lord has not forgotten him, and the Lord is going to use him one last time.
And I think it's important at the beginning of this this section here in Judges, it says, because the Philistines are very excited, and of course they're giving credit to Dagon, their god. Mm-hmm. And they say multiple things that Samson doesn't take too kindly to, and obviously God doesn't either. They say, the Philistines saying this, our God has delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hands. And then when the people saw him, they all praise, our God has delivered our enemy into our hands, the one who laid waste our land and multiplied our slain. Mm-hmm. Surely that did not sit well with God. I believe that's part of why the hair is growing back as fast as it is.
Oh, absolutely.
You guys think you're throwing a party, huh?
Yeah. And you think it's Dagon? I'm fixing to set the record straight.
Y'all want to throw a party?
Mm-hmm. And while they were in high spirits, so they're having themselves a good old party.
Having a ball.
They think they've won. They said, bring out Samson to entertain us. So they called Samson out of prison, and he performed for them. I don't know what he did, but he performed for them.
Ball. I mean, blind. What's he doing?
Sang a song.
Yep. When they stood him among the pillars, Samson said to the servant who held his hand, put me where I can feel the pillars that support the temple so that I may lean against them. Now, if I was a servant, I might have been a little concerned at this point, but maybe he's in high spirits too.
Probably.
Granted, Samson's blind. Maybe he does want to lean.
Yeah, he's not having. He can't see. He's
He
weak
doesn't have his
now.
strength anymore.
This is gonna be fine. Let's just lean up against the pillar.
But part of me says, though, why would you lean him against? Because according to
The
commentaries,
important pillars?
yeah, exactly. They said there was, a lot
How
of
about
these.
the ones over there that don't matter?
Yeah. Like I said, God's working.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so Samson puts a hand on one, hand on the other, and prays and asks the Lord to give him strength one last time.
Put me where I can feel the pillars that support the temple.
Like, that's so specific.
Yeah.
Okay. You got it, man.
Here you go. Here's one. And what
They're
does
really
the Lord?
close together,
and what
too.
does the Lord do? The Lord grants his request.
Yeah.
And gives him strength one more time.
Yeah, he's praised Samson, so he gets his hands on the pillars, and he prays to or actually, more important to preface here, temple crowded with men and women. All the rulers of the Philistines were there.
And there were 5 of them.
And on the roof were about 3,000 men and women watching Samson perform. So, kill streak incoming.
Yeah.
Then Samson prayed to the Lord, Sovereign Lord, remember me, please, God, strengthen me just once more and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes.
Mm-hmm. Now remember that this was Samson's whole purpose, was to overthrow who?
The Philistines.
The Philistines. Now, I think if you had sat down with Samson before, I don't think this is how he would have seen this played out.
Nope. I just don't think that there had to have been a better way to do this.
Absolutely. But here we are.
If you just would have focused on what God wanted him to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
even though he made mistakes, God didn't forget him. God put him in a place one more time to do what he was called to do. And what does he do? He pushes on the pillars, and the whole temple collapses. killing him in the process, of course.
With a sick line, let me die with the Philistines. And then he pushed with all his might, and down came the temple on the rulers and all the people in it. Thus he killed many more when he died than while he lived. And he killed a lot of Philistines when he lived.
He did.
Like, let's not overlook that part.
Yeah. Yeah, from jawbones of donkeys to
Yeah. I mean, like, there's a handful of stories in here where he wipes out a few hundred to 1,000 Philistines. That's a lot of people.
well, I mean, you're talking 3,200 people just on the roof?
3,000 people 3,000 men and women on the roof.
On the roof.
Just on the roof.
Not
Not
saying
in
how
the
many were
temple.
underneath.
Correct. The only thing it talks about underneath was that they had the rulers of the Philistines in there, which is obviously a high value target. But yeah, so God got his purpose done.
Yeah.
Which does give us a little bit of encouragement that even if we do make mistakes, God can still use us.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I would highly suggest not doing it Samson's way.
Yeah.
I would highly suggest obeying.
God's way.
Yeah, and discerning what he wants you to do instead of just kind of willy-nilling it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just like,
Yeah, he just Samson was a vibes guy, I guess.
yeah, I mean, he really didn't ever
just
have a plan.
lived
You
based
know,
off
he just
vibes.
kind of wee. Okay, but in the end, God still used him. God had a purpose for him, and he completed that purpose for Samson. Excuse me. And we need to understand that God has a plan for our life too. Now, we can make it easy on ourselves, or we can make it hard on
Or
ourselves.
we can do the Samson way. Yeah, for sure.
And the truth of the matter, I mean, and what we have to be careful is that we don't do it the Samson way, and we are discerning, and we are listening to the Lord and saying, Lord, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to do it? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And then fulfilling those purposes that he has for us.
Yeah.
I mean, Samson is a great story to learn things from.
Yeah.
I mean, in so many ways, we could see ourselves in Samson. You know what I'm saying? Because do we always want to do it God's way? No, we don't always want to do it God's way.
Well, we do if you ask us.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to say yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's
then
true.
But then that
my
moment comes, and we're
stupidity
just like
kicks in.
Samson.
Yeah, I'll say then my human stupidity kicks in, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, screwed that up.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful.
Yeah.
We have to understand that God does have a purpose for our life, and that we need to obey, and that we need to make sure that with that obedience, that we discern what He wants us to do, and we don't let those things like we talked about in the previous podcast about passion and lust and rage, those things of the self, the old self, creep in there. Otherwise, we're going to have situations where we're going to be just like Samson, where he could have been so much more useful to the Lord.
And he, again, never know what God's plans look like, but probably didn't need to end with his eyes getting gouged out, collapsing the temple on himself. Maybe he did the whole time. I don't know. I don't know God's plan.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of those questions we'll ask when we get there.
Uh-huh.
Lord,
I
was
have
that-
a question.
Lord,
What
I
was
mean,
your
Lord,
end?
I know that's what you knew was going to happen.
Yeah.
But
But
what
was that the plan originally?
Yeah.
Can I get a copy of the original?
What was your idea?
There's a handful of those.
Yeah.
I'm scared to ask for mine. Actually, I don't want to know.
And really, if Samson is in heaven, which I hope he is, because I really want to talk to that guy too.
I got questions.
Yeah, I just want to see what kind of.
Did he
person
tie the
really
foxes together by their tails?
That's your big question?
No, that's
Oh.
just one of them.
Did you run to catch him? Did you actually run fast enough that you could catch him?
Yeah, did he catch? How many was it? It was a lot of foxes.
200?
It was a lot.
200?
Yeah, something like that. Did
I
he
mean-
catch them all, or did he set traps? What did he do? I got questions.
Yeah, I mean, and it
How
doesn't
long
say
did it
whether
take?
he does. He did it quick.
Yeah.
See?
And like, but that, how do you get that many foxes that fast?
And
Or
he
did they
had-
just come to him?
I mean, he had superhuman strength.
Peter Piper
So
just
that could made him.
he's just playing the harp or whatever, and all the foxes are just rolling up.
But I mean, the commentary said that he did have superhuman. You know, because the Bible says he has superhuman strength, so you could put that to he was super fast.
Superhuman
Yeah,
fast,
for
too.
sure. That's on it. That's always what I've thought
Uh-huh.
when I read that story. I just assume he was really fast.
Same thing with the VHSs. I want to watch the Jawbone.
Yep.
I got to see that.
They're not
That too.
VHS.
You don't know that,
I don't think they're VHS.
but you don't know.
All right, we're digressing here. So we're going to call this podcast "Good for
I'm just getting started.
So thanks you guys for joining us, and we will see you next time.